Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I think we've just about got everyone now. A bit about me. My name is Daniel Morrissey. I'm the founder of a zero waste platform called Compliro, and this is our webinar called Driving Smarter Waste Management with AI for a Circular Economy. A bit about us, and then we'll get into a few of our guest speakers. Compliro was founded last year on the basis of seeing firsthand the concern from organisations and companies about the lack of technologies in assisting the disposal of on-site waste in a more circular and sustainable way. The stats showed that the average business can be recovering up to 40% more of their waste, yet often don't know how to achieve it. And most organisations are also willing to adopt more waste streams, yet currently many have the only basic one or two. Waste management is a constantly evolving world, but with landfills reaching capacity and ambitious government targets only a few years away, we are on a mission to show how the rise of modern technologies such as AI, IoT devices and SaaS software can assist organisations of all sizes to reach 100% waste recovery. We must collectively advocate for our workplaces, organisations and councils to have the infrastructure, equipment, monitoring tools and accessible training they need to be in line with changing regulations and help them achieve zero waste. So how are we at Compliro tackling the issue? We are an end-to-end technology-driven solution for organisations to improve their waste, recycling and circular performance. We operate on three pillars. Firstly, we connect organisations with the most suitable waste services for them and their goals. This could be mainstream waste companies utilised in a low-impact way, all the way through to innovative recycling providers, circular sourcing companies and cutting-edge processes through universities. Secondly, we assist organisations in ensuring they are equipped with the technology they need to get to zero waste, whether that be a compost bin that they can get subsidised through bin trim here in New South Wales, or some devices to keep track of the revenue opportunities they could be capturing from their waste. Thirdly, we offer a SaaS platform with a range of analytics, reports and tools that help organisations gain environmental certifications, achieve targets, implement initiatives and pinpoint what is going on with their waste in their organisation. On top of all this, we use AI to help fuel the advice and course of actions provided to organisations so that they can achieve zero waste in a fraction of the time. So how can you get started with us at Compliro? If you'd just like to have a chat, on our website there is a form that you can fill out that will reach our team. Alternatively, we are looking for a few beta testers as well that would be completely free of charge to help test our new SaaS platform, and that can be in any industry and anyone in any role. So that would be great. Without further ado, I will introduce our first guest speaker. His name is Dr. Iqbal from the University of Newcastle. I personally came across Dr. Iqbal through his work in developing an AI waste detection system for garbage trucks to identify what materials were being tipped in, which helped waste companies keep track of the source of the waste. He's a professor in AI and an NVIDIA ambassador and has a wealth of knowledge in the world of AI, particularly in an environmental context. So
Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Dr. Iqbal. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I won't say that I am professor. I'm still learning student. So I did my PhD in 2022. I am an applied AI researcher by occupation, and I'm more interested in driving the technology across the disciplines. Waste management and environment have been one of my most focused areas from the start, and I have worked in 2-3 very interesting projects within the waste industry. So that brings me here. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of the work you've done. It really is quite cutting edge. And I've got a few questions here for you, if you don't mind. The first one being, AI these days is certainly discussed a lot in theory with ChatGPT and what the things it's capable of. But what are some of the most effective real-world applications that you're seeing in waste management, and how are these technologies, can they improve efficiency and sustainability?
Yeah, well, AI nowadays, yeah, for a layman, it seems very straightforward, very simple, one unified field, but it's a very broad domain, the ones who know what AI is. So AI is a whole discipline now, like the engineering, like civil engineering, like so. There's too many things that could be explored in terms of practical implementation for waste management. I can highlight a few where I believe AI could make a huge difference. For instance, sorting of the waste. So at the facility or even at the bin level, both are very important where AI can play a role. Camera-based system which could detect what type of waste it is, and it could automatically sort those wastes and could be efficiently process those for recycling. That's one of the applications where I see a lot of potential for AI, specifically in the sorting facilities and construction waste sorting. I believe AI-based practical systems can play a vital role. At the collection level, for instance, within the waste collection trucks, AI could be used for their route optimization because there are different areas and nodes, different swarm-based algorithms could be used to give them an optimized route so that they pick up all the waste with least resources. That's one of the areas I believe that should be implemented at the council level, where or third-party waste collection companies which are collecting the waste in the suburbs. If they are not already using this is something which could save not the waste but the resource or the fuel to a substantial level. In terms of at the collection, one another thing that I worked with, and that's the paper you have read through, is the contamination detection. So I was working with Remondes, that is one of the third-party waste collection company in the Bolongong and Illawarra region. So they have that truck where when they empty the bin in the hopper, they had control to put it in different compartments, right? So they had the camera looking at the hopper, but they were doing it manually if there is any contamination when they put in the yellow bin. So that was inefficient. So what we did as a university, we developed an AI-based system which was looking at the hopper in real time and was trying to detect if there is a plastic bag contamination in it. And if it is plastic bag contamination, it alerts the driver and they can choose which compartment it should go. So, and also that information could be used in multiple ways, like to to educate the community in certain regions from where the contamination is coming.
Okay. Amazing stuff. And knowing a bit about seeing at the facility level, as you mentioned, these waste detection systems, how the robots can collect it and sort it out, it is really amazing stuff. Outside, I guess, of the big organizations that can have this crazy technology, what would you see, I guess, the barriers for AI adoption for the general population in the waste industry? Do you think it's a technological limitation? Sometimes industry resistance can be one, or obviously getting the data together too to build these massive AI models can also be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I would start with the data. Data is the most crucial part of data-driven solutions or AI solutions, because they are all at the moment for this type of utility, they are all based on the images and videos and those sort of things to detect different type of features from certain waste. So in terms of like within the plastic waste, if they want to sort different categories of plastic, right? So those all are the camera-based systems from where those images or data would come in to train those models. So that is the most critical part, and that's what the problem we had. So the models they require thousands of images to even get started with. So the approach from technical side is that this is not a one go solution that you develop something, you put in and it will work perfectly. Rather, the approach is used that you start off with few thousand images, you record those images through different sources, online sources, videos. You get the data from the various companies. They have their use cases. You get together that smaller data set, you train a base model, you deploy you develop a pipeline and you deploy that solution in real world. And while testing, it collects more data. So it would not be a perfect solution, but in 3 or 4 training iterations over a few months, it will collect thousands of more images from the real world scenarios, and it will also be tested like for which scenarios the model is not performing better and for which scenarios it's okay. Based on that, different retraining iterations would be performed, and by the end of 1 year or 1.5 year, you would have at least some solution which is functional. So data is one of the constraints. The other constraint at the moment is the cost of such system. So monitoring systems, although technology is evolving, but they are still very expensive, specifically the edge computers and cameras. Cameras are okay, but the devices, the boards on which the computer vision algorithms will work, the edge computers, they are still expensive. I believe GPU-based edge computers, the cheapest is around $1,000, 1,000 Australian dollars. So that's how uh, expensive those are, and that makes them not sustainable for deploying on all the trucks or on all the sites. So that it could be deployed on a conveyor belt where a mass waste coming in. That solution makes sense, but deploying these solutions on all the smaller resources won't be beneficial. And third important thing is, as you mentioned, is the integration with the existing systems. So there are different. You may have came across various research, and that there are many papers on waste sorting, waste detection, and all those sort of things. But those are just the in lab testing. There is no integration with the real world, and those solutions are not developed considering the need of the industry. So that's where we have learned in previous 3-4 years that the first few sessions, brainstorming sessions with the industry partners, what their needs are, and then make a feasible plan to, even if it's just base solution, but at least it should serve, at least should provide some base information that could help that industry partner and could be extended beyond that at the later stages. But that's missing in most of the technical work out there in the, especially in the academics. People do the work, but it's not integrated how industry wants. So for me, like, yeah, the privacy of data is another thing in the waste, because you may also capture humans, you may also capture the personal information from the houses, you may also capture the waste patterns for certain houses. So that's the private data. So privacy is very, very important. So I personally believe that the solution should move towards AIoT. All the information should be processed on that small board locally, and nothing goes out of that board in terms of videos, images, or data. Only the extracted features or metadata. For instance, if it's contamination detection, it should just say contamination detected or not detected. Doesn't matter. It should not transmit any images or videos. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I think everyone's got a bit of a thing about AI at the moment is it's got to be safe, and it's, I think, in some areas it is, and in some areas it's still experimental to make sure it is 100% safe and everything's protected. And I guess the thing we're seeing too is this is sort of technology that's being rolled out across the entire supply chain. I mean, it seems every week there's a new company attacking a different part of the supply chain, from procurement all the way through to the customer behaviors. It's really infiltrated the whole lot. So how do you see that this could tie into, I guess, the whole notion of a circular economy, and actually helping us source materials better, to disposing of them better, and optimizing the entire process for companies?
Yeah, I believe the whole supply chain pipeline, it could benefit from AI in different ways. There are different types of AI models would be used at different stages for procurement, for efficient management of the processes, and all those sort of things. But personally, I believe in terms of circular economy, recycling and the waste reduction, these two are the main drivers. So yeah, the optimization pipeline could be optimized, but if you don't have control over the waste generation or waste reduction, it will not help. And if you are not doing the recycling efficiently, that won't help much either. Specifically, since last couple of years, I think China has imposed more strict guidelines or more strict restrictions on the contamination base, from 10% to 1%, I guess. I'm not sure about the numbers, but that's how the difference is. So waste contamination detection is one of the main areas where AI should come in and efficiently sort the recycled waste, so that it doesn't go to the landfill. So that's one thing. Most of the things should be recycled and reused. And in terms of waste generation or waste reduction, there could be many other aspects, but the one use case that I have experienced is the curbside household waste that is put in within the Australian context, and that all goes into the landfill. All. So if there are some solution, and I am working on one of the projects that could identify what type of waste at what location is there, right? So the other persons in the community who need something, they could reuse that part, so it doesn't go to the landfill. So that is one thing that could improve the circular economy or reusability of those waste, because most of the time it's the functional product that is out on the curb, but the household doesn't need that. They just need to get away from it, so someone else can make use of it. So there are companies, I think, who privately work. They just wander around the streets. If they find something, they put it in the truck, they refurbish it and they resell. That is a good thing. But I'm looking for some solution at the council level. If I can share my screen, I can.
Yes, of course.
I'm not sure how to.
Should be a share button on the bottom toolbar.
Oh, yeah. I think I have something in the settings. I am unable to share that. I have to give the permission to share the screen, and I had to quit that tab and then reopen. So, but yeah, what I'm proposing is that we use a camera on waste collection trucks, because waste collection trucks once a week patrols the whole area, right? So they try to detect where there is a roadside dump, and they collect the GPS location of those dumps, and they collect the information what is in those dumps. At least council have the information at what location within that locality we have the curbside dumps and what is in those dumps, so that they can efficiently organize the pickup of those, or if they want to have a public version of that system at later stages. Anyone in the locality, if they need some chair, just open an app and look where the chairs are in their locality, and they go there and pick up the chair, right? So that kind of system that involves the citizen science as well, community as well, and it helps not go all the waste to the dumps to the landfill, but it could be reused. So yeah.
Yeah, certainly, and I think the most circular way is to share our resources and not have to process it all. And as we know, there's a lot that ends up in landfill that really shouldn't. We should definitely all engage in sharing some of our leftover goods more efficiently. So I like it. Thank you very much, Dr. Iqbal. That was you're doing some amazing things, and I'm sure we'll see more from you in the coming years.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No. Okay, thank you. Our next guest, and I'm sure I'm not going to do this justice because her experience is phenomenal, is Martina DeMarco. She's currently an engagement and education officer at the Organic Recycling Group here in Sydney. She was previously a waste consultant, project manager at the UN Environmental Program, as well as many other waste consultant roles, and she has implemented some amazing waste reduction projects all around the world.
Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me?
Martina, how are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, well,
Apologies,
thank you. Sorry for the delay there. It took a bit to connect.
That was me. Apologies. I didn't know how to do it.
No problem at all.
Thanks,
Yeah,
thanks.
I hope I covered the main things. I poached that off LinkedIn, and as I was doing it, I realized, well, you have tremendous experience in a whole range of things. So.
It's okay. I like waste. I like working with waste. That's all.
All right, I've got a few questions here, and they're probably more related to your current role, just because obviously with FOGO going on, I think that's a big area of interest at the moment. So what role does organic waste play in advancing the circular economy? Beyond the obvious of just diverting from landfill, how can composting, bioenergy, and other processes create value and close the loop on waste?
Sure. Thanks, Daniel. So I think this is a very important topic that a lot of people don't talk about, a lot of people don't know about. Like I was reading the other day a post by the Daily, the Daily Oz, and where lots of was introducing FOGO, right? And a lot of people were like, oh, the government again asking us to separate into another bin, and then they're gonna make money from it, or they're gonna throw it all in the landfill anyway, so why do it? And apart from responding to them, I think it was quite obvious to me that many people don't know that food waste in the landfill is generating in Australia 3% of our greenhouse gases. So that's similar to having 3 million cars on the road for a whole year, which is quite significant. In the world, is 8% of greenhouse gases. So it's more than what aviation generates. So apart from we're lacking landfill space, food waste creates an immense impact in the environment. And at the same time, if you use it correctly, it creates amazing value. So as you were saying, we have either we can either put it into compost or we can put it into anaerobic digestion to create electricity, which is green electricity, and then also compost, or we can use maggots that process food waste, and then the maggots are gonna then be transformed into food for animals, and then, well, you have the food processed as well without generating as much, without generating or maybe reducing the impact by 80%, you know. So I think food waste is super important in creating a circular economy, because at the moment it's completely linear, and apart from linear, it's just generating an impact in the environment. Yeah, so those two things I wanted to
certainly.
mention.
And the thing I'm seeing as well is a bit of a two-edged sword, in that it's the food waste going to landfill, but then it's also obviously increasing the landfill costs for the end consumer as well. It makes a lot more sense for a resource that could be used for, as you said, things like composting and food, and then, you know, converting to energy to actually reuse that.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, like going deeper there, if everyone was separating their food waste, which usually in households can be 60-70% of by weight of what we produce, then there would be a lot more space to process all the other dry waste, all the recyclables that could be there. So if we were taking all the attention out from the food waste that is going to landfill, I think that a lot more technologies and a lot more ideas and a lot more processes will be coming up for the rest of the waste that we produce. But at the moment, it's so energy intensive to have that, like it costs a lot of money in transportation, in landfill costs, etc., that it is, I don't know, I think taking attention from items that are harder to recycle or to process.
Yes, certainly. A follow-up question on that, obviously, in order to process the waste, we've got to be able to collect it relatively efficiently. Are there any challenges that you're seeing, particularly at ORG or other big organic collection companies, in collecting so many different places? I mean, I guess all of a sudden we've now got all these businesses that are required to have it collected as opposed to not before.
Totally. And I think this news is quite new, so it will come more and more in the next few months, I guess, and I hope. But the system is there on behalf of org. Like we have the system to keep on growing, and the trucks and yes, everything is there for it to go. What we do need, and I think that's why the FOGO was a bit delayed, is that there's no many facilities that process food waste. And we had Earth Power from Veolia that was not working for like 3 years, and they take a lot of food waste. So I think now the focus needs to be in creating more facilities that process food waste in Sydney.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very good point, and actually rolls in quite well to my next question is the role the waste service providers play in transitioning to a circular economy. Is a lot of the infrastructure up to the waste service providers, or is there something that we can do at even the everyday person level to sort of help you guys with that transition?
Do you mean how can we, like anyone in their regular life, help create more, like make it better, make it easier?
Yeah, yes, I guess obviously having a large scale compost facilities or bioenergy things are quite capital intensive. It seems, as you said,
Exactly, yes. And
yeah, we're a bit short. Is there anything the everyday person can do to help that? I mean, it seems like home compost is on the rise a bit. Or yeah.
Yes, I think so. And I think it's going to be, I am hoping, of course, having your own compost is great. Or, you know, there's lots and lots of community gardens everywhere where you can take your food waste. And for instance, I live on the Northern Beaches, and there's, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 different community gardens that I've taken my food waste to in the last years. But I think this transition is slower than what the EPA expected, FOGO was meant to be completely rolled out in all of New South Wales by 2025, and now it's pushed back to 2030. And I think the reason is because I'm hoping is that there are going to be enough facilities to process all of our food waste by then. But in the meantime, it's either take it to your community gardens, or also make sure that what we put into the food waste bin is not contaminated. Because when it is contaminated, it takes a lot of capacity from the compost facilities and the like say the anaerobic digestion facility, but also the end product is not as good because it might be a bit more contaminated, and when they are contaminated, then they can't be used, say, for planting food plants, or it can only go to certain places, like it could be for landfill regeneration. So like I think it's regeneration when you close a landfill and then you put soil on top. That could be the case, but if you do that only for that, then the compost cost will be very low. And then that means that the processing facilities will need to charge more from all of us because then they can't sell it at a good price.
Yes, and it's a very good point. Contamination, coming back to Dr. Iqbal's point, is obviously it's up to companies like yours, the ones that have to wear the contamination and work out how to sort through it, so that we are, it is clean. Do you have any technologies that you guys use, or is it still a relatively manual process on identifying contamination in organic waste?
It's quite manual at the moment. So if our truck drivers, when they collect the bins, they have to open each bin so that they connect it to the truck. And as they do that, if they see lots of contamination, they take a photo, and that is the photo is sent directly to our clients. The thing is that also you have supermarkets, say, or like grocery stores, they have lots and lots of food that is packaged, and it becomes really time consuming. Hence, it's very expensive for them to open everything and remove everything from packaged that is packaged. So facilities do accept that. They have systems to open it, etc. But that's why it also is more expensive. So I am not sure what's the best solution for food waste that comes from supermarkets and grocery stores. But for the general public, yes, I think the most important thing we can do is remove the packaging, and then we don't have any technology at the moment that takes photos or anything like that.
Yes. Okay, and you're spot on. I think there is a lot of scrutiny around supermarkets and grocery stores at the moment because they produce a significant amount of waste. Trying to capture that in a clean way and circular way is obviously a big challenge for them.
Totally, and I would love to see more grocery stores going into charities like Osk Harvest, or Meals. I don't remember other names, but yes, where they collect the food that is edible, but they can't sell or they don't want to sell, to be used in other ways.
Yes, certainly. Thank you very much, Martina. That was very helpful and very insightful. I'm sure we will chat again soon.
Thank you, Daniel, so much. It was great to be here.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. That is all from our presenters. Just back to our point, if there is anyone that would like to have a chat, I'm always open to having a chat about all things waste, technology, AI. That's what we're doing here at Compliro, trying to really push that technology forward. And if anyone is interested in being one of our early beta testers, that would be amazing. Thank you very much for attending, and hope you have all got signed up for some other Climate Action Week events. Cheers.